What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RotoGrinders Sunday Night Football pre-lock show. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych. Not in my usual location. My power went out about 45 minutes ago. Hadn't came back yet. Somebody drove into something and knocked it down for a couple blocks. And so we are here at my parents' house in their basement. Fingers crossed that I sound okay, that the internet holds throughout the show. And joining us to help break down this exciting football game between the Chiefs and the Lions, we got Tim Buell, Tasteful Tides. How you doing, Tim?
Yeah, I'm doing well, TJ. I had a pretty, I had a profitable main slate, profitable afternoon slate. Nothing special. Basically 2x. Got some things right and got some things wrong, unfortunately. And I didn't pair Drake May with really anybody that was good, and that's what really cost me, because Drake May really, did quite a bit, but I didn't have any of his wide receivers, so that really cost me from getting anything really good today.
Yeah, I was very similar. I was just short of doubling up, made about 1.8x as opposed to a 2x, so pretty much the same today. And I had a lot of JSN, I had a lot of Rico Dowdle, but just a little bit too much Rashid Shaheed. Didn't have a single one of my defenses hit today, so not quite everything needed for a big day, but any day we're doubling up or close to it, that's a good day as long as we're not losing money. So hopefully we can carry that into tonight's slate, get a little lucky as well. We got a fun game tonight, Tim. What's your overview on this one? I think last I checked, Kansas City's favored by about 2.5. I don't mind the Lions in this spot going into Kansas City.
I certainly wouldn't fault anybody if they wanted to side with the Lions, getting the 2.5 points or even taking the money line. I'm staying away from this game personally in terms of betting. I'm looking forward to watching this as a fan. Really close spread, really nice over and under, which I think should be fun to watch and fun for DFS purposes. Like TJ said, Kansas City's a 2.5 point favorite. The line the over and under looks like it's 51.5 right now. It was at 52.5 earlier today, so it's been bet down just a little bit. But either way, I think this game should be really, really high and tight. So for fantasy purposes, I'm pretty excited. Arrowhead's a tough place to play. It's going to be. I'm just going to talk about Jared Goff really quick. It's going to be interesting to see what the field does with Jared Goff. He's got pretty significant home road splits. We prefer him in Detroit. We prefer him indoors. KC is neither one of those things. So I think he's going to be an interesting play today. He's going to be highly owned in flex. I think we have him around 60%. I just hand built a couple teams before getting on the show, and I don't have him in either one, and that makes me a little bit nervous. So I think Jared Goff is going to be quite a wild card today. I think he's going a little bit over owned, just in my opinion. I wonder what TJ's thoughts are on Jared Goff.
I'm going to be a little bit underweight on Goff today, but I'm still getting to a decent amount. So I have no Goff at captain. I'm running kind of 5 main lineups and then a smaller 20 entry max. I max out at the $3 and the $1 and a couple other 20 entry maxes in addition to my 5 main lineups. So not going to be going too crazy in terms of the entry fees, but I am going with 0% Goff at the captain, and then I have about 50% Goff at the flex today. So he's in 2 of my 5 main lineups at the flex, and then he's in 10 of my 20 main lineups. So I'll be a little bit underweight on Goff, but not going to be full fading or anything like that.
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't full fade him if I had a whole portfolio of teams. But I would definitely, I personally think he's somebody I would be taking an underweight approach on, just because, I prefer the running backs, a couple of the pass catchers we'll talk about. But I guess I'm just siding away from him having like a big game today. I'm thinking it's going to be more of like a Gibbs, Laporta, Amon-Ra type game, and I'm not sure if Goff can really hit his like full potential in this spot.
I like when we're on the same page, Tim. I feel like for me, personally, if I were only playing one lineup, I'll leave this to you for the final call. But if I were playing one lineup, I think I would probably be going with Gibbs or Mahomes as my captain. Where are you leaning today as your single entry captain?
I thought for sure you're going to say Amon-Ra and Mahomes, because I think those two are like the first two that I would look at captain. I'm fine if people want to play Gibbs. I'm certainly not saying either way. You know, I think Gibbs is a completely fine play, but that decision between Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs, Gibbs is 11K and Amon-Ra is 10.8, so you're only getting a $200 savings. I think that decision between those two is going to be really, really huge on the slate. So it kind of depends on, I think, what kind of script this game's going to be, and then also, are you worried if Montgomery is going to be taking some of that goal line stuff from Gibbs? Right now, I'm personally leaning Amon-Ra over Gibbs. So my first two captains that I built are Mahomes and Amon-Ra. But I just like Amon-Ra better in this spot.
I have a slight lean for Gibbs, but it's not like an aggressive one. I don't think either is aggressively better than the other. Kansas City's just this year and over the past few years pretty consistently elite against wide receiver ones. But the thing is, I don't actually think Amon-Ra fits into that typical wide receiver one build because he gets moved all around the field. He gets run as a slot receiver. He gets run on the outside. It's not really like he's not as easy to scheme against, I think, as to shut down him specifically as some other wide receiver ones. Plus, the Detroit, their offense is just so dynamic that you can't really focus on one guy anyways. So don't mind the Amon-Ra call one bit. I give a slight lean to Gibbs, but I think both of them are absolutely phenomenal plays today. If we are starting with like those three as kind of like the main options, if you were, say, doing a 3-entry max or instead of a single entry or running more lineups, trying to get a little bit different today, who would be your top options to get sneakier with? I think my number one would be Sam Laporta. I'm very big on him today. I don't mind Xavier Worthy, but he's going to pick up some ownership as well. Laporta, I think, is going to be my favorite off the board play. And it's not that far off the board.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Laporta at all. I was personally hoping Xavier Worthy was going to be a little bit lower owned at the captain position. We currently have him around 9.5%. I really like Xavier Worthy a lot in this matchup. I almost rather play Xavier Worthy at captain than in flex, but I'm not saying he's a bad play in flex either. Like, I just think that if he happens to catch a couple of bombs down the perimeter or something like that, he could easily become the optimal captain. So I think Xavier Worthy is definitely a captain that we can get to who's not going to be super chalky. Laporta, like you mentioned, is completely fine. He's going to be around 5% in the captain spot. I do like him. I'm trying to see. I'm pulling up our Showdown HQ for DraftKings that's available for premium members on RG, just to see who's got some positive leverage in the captain spot. And it looks like it's going to be Mahomes and Amon-Ra and Xavier Worthy. And then actually, believe it or not, Jameson Williams is also got some positive leverage in the captain spot.
I do think that's from earlier in the day, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. And so we do have that board up on SimLabs as well. And so like the updated ones, Mahomes is actually has the biggest negative leverage at the captain position now on SimLabs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Kelsey number 1, Laporta 2, Montgomery 3, Gibbs 4. But there's nobody that's showing like an aggressive amount of positive leverage in SimLabs right now.
I see. I got you. Yeah, I don't really want to play Kelsey. I don't think he's looked good all year. Like, I know that he had a decent game last game, but I'm really I'm not. He's not the Kelsey of old. Like, he's so far past his prime. Like, I don't want to get to any Kelsey. I really don't want to play him at captain either. So I guess you could play him at flex as part of like a Mahomes captain team or something like that. But I'm not really I'm not high in Kelsey.
I'm light on him too. I ended up with 15% Kelsey at flex, no Kelsey at captain. I just like Xavier Worthy and Sam Laporta in that range so much better. That like it's just really hard for me to get to too much Kelsey today. Let's pivot to the flex position. If we're starting with one of these expensive guys up top, like honestly, like at the flex, it kind of is the same for me. I prefer Gibbs a little bit more than Amon-Ra, but I love both of them today. I want to get one of Gibbs or Amon-Ra in every lineup, and I want to get Mahomes in basically every lineup I play, if not at the captain position, at the flex position. Is your thought at the flex kind of the same as it was with the captain for the expensive guys?
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. You're getting one of Amon-Ra or Gibbs in your flex. You're getting Mahomes in your flex if he's not in the captain. Those would be like all-in set rules that I'd be making no matter how many teams I was making tonight. I'd be getting one of Amon-Ra and Jameer in every lineup. And if Mahomes is not my captain, he's going to be all of my flex. So I think that's exactly what I would do to start off with for these high price guys. And then, as we get a little bit lower and start talking about some of these values, with such a high total, it's a total in the low 50s. I mean, I know they're not very amazing to talk about, but the kickers. I mean, I think the kickers are going to be are going to be really, really strong values here. And at 5.2 and 5K, I think points per dollar wise, I think they're really, really exceptional plays.
That was actually the next question I was going to ask you. With Jameson Williams and Hollywood Brown between that 5 to 6K range, and then the two kickers, Butker and Bates, how would you prioritize those four? It's tough. There's so many great weapons in this game that I want to get access to. I feel like Hollywood is the one that falls below for me behind Jameson Williams and the kickers. How are you ranking this tier?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Hollywood would be last for me. Then the other three, it's kind of interesting. I kind of want to play Butker over Bates and Williams. So I'd probably go Butker, then Williams, then Bates, and then Brown. That's how I would order them. Jameson Williams is just not getting the same usage this year. We keep wanting him to have these huge games, and they're just not utilizing him in the same capacity as they have in years past. So, if he's really going to be 21% owned, and the kickers are only going to be 25 and 23, you're really not getting that much like an ownership discount. I'd rather take the kickers. So it's pretty close, but you save money with the kickers, and I think the kickers are a little bit safer. And I think the kickers have some pretty decent upside here in this high total.
What about the next range of these 4K guys? I think are actually very comparable to the 5K ones as well. I'm not getting to either of the defenses today. I like, if you want to touch on them, feel free. But even in 20 lineups, I just hit the X button on both of them because I would way rather get to one of Hunter Pacheco. I think I prioritize Pacheco in this spot. He actually looked pretty good last game. Or Tyquan Thornton, who I think I like actually better than both of those guys today.
Yeah. So in terms of the defenses, I don't have any interest in them. If I was playing 20 max today, I'd be Xing them out also. If I got up to 150 max and I believe that they were really going to be 15%, I would come in significantly underweight to them. I might get between like 5 and 7% exposure. I'm really not high on the defenses at all here. Both quarterbacks, both offenses are really competent. I don't have a lot of faith in getting the defensive touchdown or the multiple interceptions that you need to be optimal optimal defense today. So I'm off the defenses. Yeah, the Kansas City, that 4K range between Hunt, Thornton, and Pacheco, it's super fragile, and it's a tough range. I'm having a hard time even just discussing, Hunt, Pacheco, and Richard Smith, because I mean that whole Kansas City backfield is pretty tough right now. The safest I think is Kareem Hunt, but it's kind of close between Hunt and Pacheco. They have been utilizing Brashard Smith and giving him targets when they've had him, running routes. So I think Brashard Smith is interesting in GPPs, but I think Hunt is the safest. I currently have Pacheco because I was just making my primary single entry team before I got on the show, and I didn't have the extra money to get to Hunt, so I just went down to Pacheco. You said that you like Thornton the most out of this 4K range for Kansas City. I don't mind that. He's definitely not as safe, but he keeps earning targets. I thought he was just going to be like a fill-in guy for when Worthy was hurt, but they're keeping him out there. So I guess Thornton is viable at that 4-4 price tag.
Shout out to Joe Adamo watching the shows this morning. Hit for 80K today in NFL DFS on the main slate. Shout out to Joe Adamo. Great day. Happy for you, my friend. Glad we were able to help you out a little bit. I think I like, if I were doing a single entry, I'd probably still go with Pacheco, but Thornton's a guy I want to be overweight on just because of that big play upside. It's like you said, I thought he was going to become a backup as well once Xavier Worthy's back, and he probably will once Rashee Rice is back, but he's just been so good that they've had to give him some playing time. So I don't mind going with Tyquan Thornton today. Might be our last week to do so. And then Brashard Smith is the guy that I just love this week. I see Juju Smith-Schuster for admittedly too cheap at 2.8K, projecting really well, going to have a lot of ownership. If I were playing a cash game, Juju would be my primary salary saver down here. But in tournaments, I would way rather play Brashard Smith or Isaac Tesla.
Even with Khalif Raymond back, you still want to play Tesla?
Even with Raymond playing, Tesla's just been so good in his limited snaps that I could see this being the week that he is now the wide receiver 3 and not Khalif Raymond, just because Raymond did only get in those 2 limited practices this week.
Yeah, because I definitely agree with you that I think that going to Brashard Smith over Juju is a pretty solid GPP pivot. I think I still kind of lean Raymond over Tesla, but it's fine. I mean, to get exposure to both, I think is completely reasonable. If we're going really, really low, I don't think that there's anybody below Noah Gray at 1,200 that I would roster tonight.
Agreed.
It's, if you're playing 150, I guess you could get exposure to a couple of these guys, but it's really Noah Gray and above for me. I would not consider anyone below him.
I don't even hate the idea of taking a shot on Brock Wright. We get a lot of 2-10 formations near the goal line for the Lions. So I don't mind a Brock Wright shot if you're playing a few lineups. I think I have him in like 1 or 2 of my 20. But I agree with you. Noah Gray would be the lowest I would be going on this slate. Let's make the pivot over to FanDuel. I don't think we'll have to spend quite as much time because a lot of this stuff, ever since FanDuel made their MVP position have a salary multiplier as well, it's basically the exact same conversation. The only difference is whenever there's somebody who is priced a little bit differently between the two sites. And of course, FanDuel does not have the point per reception that they do have on DraftKings. We have Mahomes as the clear highest owned MVP on FanDuel. Is that who you'd be going to in single entry, or would you be looking to pivot off of the high ownership?
Yeah, in single entry, I'm sticking with Mahomes at 18,000 on MVP in the MVP spot. He's just such an easy source of raw points. Again, Jared Goff is even more expensive than Patrick Mahomes on FanDuel. That's super weird. That's going to keep his ownership down in the MVP, I'm assuming. Again, I don't love the spot, but quarterbacks are kind of they're a tough fade. So you could get exposure to him in the MVP spot. I think he's only going to be around 8% versus Mahomes like 22%. So I think Goff is interesting. Xavier Worthy would probably be my favorite non QB, followed by I think Jahmyr Gibbs. I think the swap on FanDuel is I'd be getting to more Gibbs on FanDuel and more Monra on DK. That's like what I'm noticing. is that would be the big portfolio shift that I would do between the sites. Is that it's Gibbs on FanDuel, Amon-Ra on DK, in my opinion.
That makes absolute sense. Another thing I'd want to shout out is, and I would get some of this at the MVP if I were playing it on FanDuel, is Sam Laporta at the MVP position. He'd be my favorite flex over there, and I love the idea of getting to him as much MVP as I can too if I'm playing more than a couple lineups, because look at the difference in price between Sam Laporta on FanDuel than DraftKings. On DraftKings, he's priced right up near Xavier Worthy at 7,600, and Worthy is just above. Kelsey is just above. We see here, Jameson Williams is priced higher. Travis Kelce's 1,600 more. David Montgomery is 2K more. Isaiah Pacheco is even more expensive than Sam Laporta. Plus, he's right close to the defenses and kickers. I think if I were playing even 150 lineups on FanDuel, I would have Laporta at either the MVP or the flex in every single lineup.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
He's just such a good value over there. And then we get a little bit cheaper. Kareem Hunt, drastically cheaper than Isaiah Pacheco over here. I don't mind Hollywood Brown's price, even though he doesn't look quite as good without the point per reception. I love Brashard Smith over here. Like, I like him on FanDuel, Tim, but Brashard Smith on I like him on DraftKings, but Brashard Smith on FanDuel at only 3K. That's my favorite salary saver on FanDuel by far.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. He does seem pretty cheap. Ran some optimals on FanDuel. It's giving me a lot of Robert Tonyan at 1,000, and he's projected for 0.12 points. So that just shows how much the optimizers love you getting Mahomes in the MVP. Is that they're willing to give you a player that's projected for 0.12. I don't know if I want to necessarily do that. I don't think I want to play Robert Tonyan tonight, but that seems to be something that the optimizers are spitting out.
I had to X him out of SimLabs because it was trying to give him to me in my 20 entry max as well, and I just didn't want to do it. So watch Robert Tonyan, gonna watch him end up scoring a touchdown on like some weird.
I was gonna say he's 100% bet his
play action to play action to Pacheco. Kelsey's going this way. Everybody looks that way, and Robert Tonyan scores on the other side.
Yeah, definitely bet him. Definitely bet Robert Tonyan as the first TD scorer tonight.
All right, let's start taking some of these questions here. I will go to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. I will go to the YouTube chat. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you are hitting that like button for us. Help us battle that YouTube algorithm, and that's all we ask. You know, it's free content on a Sunday night. It's Thanksgiving weekend in Canada, and my power is out, and it's snowing. So I just had to drive across the city, 20 minutes in the snow, ice on the ground, on Thanksgiving weekend, and then drive all the way back so I can get to my Thanksgiving meal after this. All I'm asking is that you give us a little hit on the like button, and it's also a good time to check it out if you haven't checked it out, to get yourself a nice 3-day pass for RotoGrinders. Only $9.99. You can build yourself some lineups. And while it's maybe not the best time to do it today, it is still a great time to do it from a sports standpoint because, NFL 3-day pass. I'm all jumbled. I'm mixing up my ad reads. Get yourself an NFL 3-day pass. Admittedly, maybe wait until Thursday night for the showdown, so that you get access to the weekend stuff as well. But it is a 2-game slate on Monday night. So you can get yourself a 3-day pass right now, get access to Sunday night projections, Sunday night SimLabs, all the articles that we have for this slate, and then also for the 2 games tomorrow. So maybe not the worst time to get yourself a 3-day pass, but if you want it for the main slate, get it on Thursday. It's only $9.99. And then if you want something a little longer, you want to play some NHL with Tim, you want to be ready for the NBA season, that's when you get yourself some Combo Pro. First month, only $79.99. That's only $5 more than NFL Premium. Get access to NFL. MLB is done for the regular season, but you still get all the projections for the playoffs. Get access to NBA, get NHL, college football, PGA, MMA. So much going on right now. It's a great time to get yourself Combo Pro, get yourself access to all of the sports. Start taking some questions here. Going to YouTube. It's a quiet night tonight, What do you think about Noah Gray as a punt, Tim?
Yeah, I really do like Noah Gray. I'm getting into a ton of him on DK. Currently running some optimals. Noah Gray's popping pretty hard. He's only $1,200. I say fire him up. I think he's a pretty decent value today. And value is it's not really safe today. So embrace the volatility, and I think you can play Noah Gray.
All right. What about favorite MVP and low-owned flex for FanDuel tournaments tonight?
Favorite MVP and low-owned flex for FanDuel. So Mahomes is my favorite MVP straight up. He's going to be the most popular. If you don't want to eat that chalk, it's kind of a toss-up between Jared Goff and Xavier Worthy for me. I think Jared Goff is super interesting on FanDuel, and he's going to be super low-owned over there because he's more expensive than Mahomes. So I would try Goff. And then they wanted a low-owned flex.
Yeah, which my first choice for that, low-owned flex. And if you want a super low-owned MVP, that would be Laporta for me. But favorite low-owned flex, my guy's Brashard Smith. How about you?
I was just going to say Brashard Smith or Noah Gray, I think, are both really strong flex plays, good values, and they're not going to be chalky.
All right. Let's go. Once again, shout out to Joe Adamo, 80K win today. Favorite GPP and favorite low-owned MVP for FanDuel. Basically just answered that one. So we got you, Carolina guy. In general, it's Mahomes. Lower owned, it's Goff. Very low owned, it's Sam Laporta. And then contrarian flex, it's Brashard Smith today. Chris Longo is fading Sam Laporta. Good luck. I think it's going to be a big Laporta day today. We are low on the questions, but Jeff Hackworth, I don't know why I read that. Then I thought it said, what the heck do you think about Jameson Williams? And I just thought that was really funny way of wording it. But what do you think about Jameson Williams? There was no what the heck in there.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about the other players that were around him in that price range between Williams, Hollywood, and the two kickers. So it's kind of like if you're in that price tier, I would prefer getting to the kickers. Now, like, what do I think about Jameson as a play today? If he's really going to be 22% in the flex, I think he's somebody that would go underweight on. I'm not very high on Jameson Williams today. He's very, very, very boomer bust, and they haven't been utilizing them the same way this season. So we're all kind of sitting around waiting for that big game to happen, and I'm not sure it's going to be tonight. So I'm out on Jameson.
Chris Longo asking if any Montgomery at captain or MVP on FanDuel. I don't think I'd be going to Montgomery. If I were running like 150 lineups, maybe I'd have a couple Montgomery captains, but that would be it. If I were even in like a 20 entry max, I don't think I would be getting there. JD's asking favorite props tonight. I personally haven't had a chance to look at this game from a sports betting perspective just because I've been dealing with this power outage and trying to get ready for Thanksgiving dinner. But do you have any props that you're on tonight?
Yeah, so some of these numbers I think are kind of gone, but I do like the I'll give one out that the prop model has, and I think the number is still good on. The prop model, which you can get if you sign up for our scores and odds package, Patrick Mahomes over 28.5 rushing yards. We got that at 28.5. I think on DK right now it's 27.5, and the juice is pretty good. It's only minus 114. So take the Mahomes over rushing yards if you can get it 28.5 or better.
Sonic and Knuckles together on FanDuel. What do you think about playing David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in the same lineup? I personally never really mind it with those two. They are one off the NFL record for running back teammates who have scored the most touchdowns in the same game. They get there together all the time. Tonight on FanDuel, I just don't know if I love it because of Montgomery's price. I would just way rather play Laporta for a little cheaper.
Yeah, I would rather play Laporta on FanDuel than Montgomery. I'm not very high on Montgomery today. I think he does better when the game is more neutral or negative script, positive script. But I think that Detroit is going to be playing from behind, and I think that favors guys like Gibbs and Laporta over Montgomery.
Is it okay to play Laporta and St. Brown in the same lineup that does not have Jared Goff?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was just going over that same scenario with my primary single entry team. I think that you need to add Goff to that lineup. So I think you need Goff with that team.
What are your thoughts tonight on Juju Smith-Schuster? I feel like he's definitely the safest play in that range. Like, we know he's going to be on the field. He projects really well. I'd be getting to him in a cash game. In tournaments, I feel like I'd much rather play Rashard Smith, though.
Yeah, so Juju is definitely going to be the the chalk value piece. Right now, we have him at for around 18% projected ownership at 2,800. He's going to be higher owned than guys like Rashard Smith. He's going to be higher owned than Noah Gray. He's even going to be higher owned than Kareem Hunt. So he's going to be like the value safe, quote unquote, safe option. So you're not going to be, if you want to play the chalk, that's fine, but don't think you're getting any different by playing Juju.
All right. It looks like we have hit all of the questions. We'll get out of here a little bit early. Give you some time to set your lineups, grab some food, get ready to go before the game. Let us know in chat who you think is going to win. Lions, Chiefs. I think I'm siding on the Lions tonight. But frankly, it doesn't matter to me who wins this game as long as the Toronto Blue Jays take care of business tonight against the Seattle Mariners. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in with us. On behalf of myself, on behalf of Tim, we will see you next time. Peace.